When we talk about the pure greed of modern game companies, Nintendo is always right at the front of the line. I never really hold them as accountable as I actually should. I mean, Nintendo has only ever really given me great memories all the way back from my childhood. And I wouldn't be lying if I said I still hold them dear to this day. How could the company that made some of my favorite games of all time be truly evil? I think back to when I was playing Pokemon Black and White, where I had some of my greatest memories not only as a gamer but as a child, knowing that the game that my parents bought me for Christmas was in fact the full game. There wasn't any hidden content behind paywalls. There wasn't any exclusive Pokemon that I couldn't get without an online subscription. It was truly the full package. So now, as I sit here staring at the order button for a Nintendo Switch 2, ready to pre-order Pokemon Legends ZA, I think I need to reflect on what Nintendo are doing around us. And is this truly the same company that did bring us all this joy in the past? I think many people think the same as me, but like to justify Nintendo's greed with their childhood. They use it as a shield to defend the people that just don't care about them whatsoever. It feels like Nintendo are targeting 30-year-old adults instead of kids. Now we have $100 games where the quality feels like it just isn't up to the standard. Nostalgia is a crazy drug, and they know this. They know people want it, and they will capitalize on it. I mean, if you want to stick to the Pokemon route, look at the Pokemon trading card scene at the moment. 40-year-old scalpers just hoarding the shelves, buying whatever they can, turning their kids' hobby into a stock market frenzy. The target audience needs to be the kids of now, not the kids you sold to 30 years ago and just hoard everything that you put out. And I suppose that's what today's video is all about. It's accumulation of all of the bad things Nintendo have done and will most likely continue to do over the coming years. It's more of a reflection as well on if I am part of the problem if I go ahead and buy a Nintendo Switch 2, which I am very likely to be doing so at this point in time. I want to know if I am the real issue here. Am I contributing to a company that just doesn't care about its audience whatsoever? Am I just bending over and giving them what they want? Am I just giving them $400 to play a very potentially mediocre Pokemon game, which fingers crossed I hope isn't the case, but we definitely know Nintendo can put a stinker or two out with the Pokemon franchise, especially as of late. Before we do get started with the video, it does turn out that only 0.3% of my viewers actually are subscribed, so if you enjoyed today's video, please be sure to consider subscribing. It really does help support the channel. I think to understand where Nintendo are in this point in time, you truly gotta reflect and take a look back to our childhoods, where they used to be in terms of a company. The modern golden era where they crafted amazing games and worlds that defined many of our childhoods and the gaming experiences of millions. For me, it would have to be the 3DS and DS titles, Mario Kart, Pokemon, all of those kinds of things. That was my bread and butter. Absolutely loved them as a child. Even with some of the early Nintendo Switch titles, they really put out some great games, especially with the hardware that they were truly working with. Understanding their recent past is essential to grasping how far they've drifted from these joyful roots. When the DS launched on November 21st, 2004, it sold an astonishing, and listen to this, 154 million units worldwide by 2014. This wasn't just another console, it was a groundbreaking leap, introducing a dual screens, a touchscreen and microphone, all for the price of $149.99. Wow, that sounds kind of crazy considering that's probably what games are going to cost in about 5 years' time. It also was something that redefined portability. It blended accessibility with creativity, and its library became a testament to Nintendo's golden touch. We all have our favorite Nintendo DS titles. It could be from Zelda to Super Mario, but personally for me, it would have to be some of the Pokemon games. And it's actually perfect that I'll be using Pokemon in particular as an example throughout this video, purely because the new game is going to be coming out in a few weeks, and we can really sort of deep dive and compare what is changed in comparison to when Pokemon was first coming out, all the way to what's happening when it's coming out now. Now for me, Pokemon Black and White, which released on September 18th, 2010 in Japan, and March 6, 2011 internationally for the DS, they were my absolute favourite Pokemon games, my crown jewels of this entire Pokemon era. My absolute favourites that shaped my gaming identity and favourite childhood memories. Now with these games, they were just special. The worlds were fantastic, the music, the characters, everything you could ask for in a Pokemon game. But the most important factor I want to tell you about, and it's kind of crazy that I have to say this about a game, is that it was actually complete from start to finish. All of the content was there, and when you bought it from day one, you were getting the game. You were getting the full game. Now, why am I saying this like it's some sort sort of foreign concept? Well, that is because it is a foreign concept. With the release of Pokemon Legends EA, as many of us are very aware, there's going to be paid DLC. However, this wasn't announced when the game was in fact out already for a few months, but it was quite literally announced a few weeks ago before the game's even released. Not only is this an obviously incredibly scummy thing to do as a company, but also gives me the impression that the game they'll actually be releasing is not 100% even complete. Like, sure, the game may be complete for what they think it is, what they're going to give us. They'll probably see as a complete product. I mean, they're giving us Pokemon Legends EA, but they don't consider the fact that this DLC should have just been completely included in the base game if it was going to be announced this early. I mean, this isn't a rare thing for Nintendo as well. It's not like this is one of their very few missteps that they've even had recently. They've done a lot of things that are really below the belt. You obviously have the entire pricing situation where the Nintendo Switch 2 launched at $400. That's like $100 more than the original Switch in 2017. As well as that, you have this entire legal situation that Nintendo are stepping into as well, which is very bizarre to say the least. Nintendo have recently filed a patent for summoning entities to fight, a mechanic central to Pokemon, and they sued paywalls developer Pocket Pair for $150 million. Now, this came after paywalls' 25 million sales, and this was a big threat to Pokemon. They only had 16 million sales in 2024. Now, this is quite obviously very anti-competitive. The lawsuit specifically cites PALs, which are obviously Pokemon's Pokemon, as infringing despite its whole survival twist. I mean, it's pretty obvious what Game Freak and Nintendo as a whole are trying to do here. Without a doubt, they are trying to just completely wipe the market of anything like or similar to their product. With the entire success that Powerwall actually had, it was a major red flag for Nintendo. There was sort of like a moment where they were seeing other people praise a game awfully similar to theirs for having better graphics, mechanics, etc., holding them accountable for why are you guys not actually doing this yourselves? Competition should be looked at as a way to improve, a way to advance your game to make it better than your competitors, rather than trying to completely shut them down for good. Now, Nintendo have no interest whatsoever, it seems, in potentially improving their games to a standard that Powerwall did. Not necessarily saying Powerwall's games are better, but they did push a lot of boundaries in that genre of gaming. Now, no matter how much we say in regards to Nintendo, no matter how much we slander them or hold them accountable of their actions, it seems like they will never honestly change. And the reason is because why would they when the Nintendo Switch 2 had the fastest selling console launch ever, selling over 3.5 million units worldwide in its first 4 days in June 2025. And that sort of links back to my point I made at the start of the video, sort of questioning myself, like, am I the problem here if I'm going to be consuming what Nintendo give me and actually giving into the way they are mass monetizing everything? Am I just another piece in the puzzle of just allowing them to keep ripping people off? And I feel like they won't go back to their old ways because this is just the new norm in gaming, and no boycott will stop it due to the huge amount of fans who ride their meat no matter what, to say it clearly. It just feels like everything has been going downhill since Iwata's passing in 2015. And I suppose when you bring in bankers who have no game development background whatsoever, they bring more of a corporate lens that just purely prioritizes stability over innovation, just basically pure profit. Nintendo have just truly never looked back since, and they don't seem to be slowing down. And why would they when their console is selling like hotcakes? From Bethesda to EA, there are so many companies that are truly scummy and do some pretty terrible things to their fan base. However, Nintendo honestly truly does top this list. As hard as it is for me to say that, they are the worst and the most evil company out of all of these. Who knows if there's going to be a tipping point? Is there going to be a day where people just stop playing Pokemon games, stop playing Mario games because the price is just too obscene for what you're getting? A lot of uncertainty for sure, but one thing that I can be sure of is the fact that these guys are not slowing down whatsoever. It's only going to get worse from here, so it's probably a better time than ever to support indie developers and those games that you can grab on Steam for sale for $15, where you'll probably get a lot more value for your money than many of these new Nintendo releases coming out, which will obviously be $100. But anyway, that's going to wrap today's video up. Please make sure to let me know what you think in the comments about this entire Nintendo saga. Do you think there's any way they're going to come back whatsoever, or do you just think they're going to double down on this entire monetization route that they're going? Also, please be sure to let me know in the comments if you think I would be a fraud if I was to buy a Nintendo Switch 2. It was my plan for a few months to be purchasing this just because I want to play every single Pokemon title, but do you think I am just giving into the system, if you will, if I go ahead and purchase this game and console? But anyway, have a great rest of your day. Thank you very much for watching, and make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video or agree with it.